I bet there are things holding you back in your career that you're not even aware of. We call these blind spots. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to walk you through the 8 most common blind spots that actors face, what to do about them so you can recognize them, and how to get them out of your lives so you can continue to succeed and get on to the career that you want.
First of all, what the heck is a blind spot? Just like in your car, there are spots in your career that you can't see are holding you back. So it's a threat to your success, but you're unaware of it. It's basically an invisible threat. But the good news is blind spots do leave clues. So I'm going to go through these 8 blind spots, and I want you to listen to these and be honest with yourself. Ask yourself which of these most resonates with you. And then tell us in the comments below which one that you feel is your blind spot. Our subconscious is trying to keep us safe. That's why we have these blind spots. It's always doing that. That's why sometimes it keeps us in a place that maybe feels safe, but is actually contrary to what you want, which is a big acting career, right? Because it can feel scary to put yourself out there. The thing is, we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You hear me say this all the time, but we do. We have to stop and assess. You have to be brutally honest, because if it doesn't feel a little scary, you're probably not doing enough. So as I go through these blind spots, try to stay in a state of proactive listening to see which one applies to you. After I list the blind spots, first I'm going to give you 3 simple ways to overcome them. And that all starts with changing the external criteria to internal. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this. Most actors use the external to assess the situation, which leaves you feeling hopeless. So let me describe to you what might be considered an external factor. These are things like the weather, the economy, politics, the pandemic, the strike. Obviously, you can't do anything about those things. That means that you feel powerless, and in a sense, you are powerless against these huge forces because all of the events and moving gears are outside of your control. But as soon as you change your mindset to internal, you become the one in power. You have the capacity to decide how you're going to think about something, and more importantly, what you're going to do about it. So as we go through these different blind spots, I want you to apply these 3 tools. Number 1, the first thing you need to do is assess. Is this an external problem or an internal challenge? We're not going to use the word problem here. The second thing you need to do is replace past context with future context. Don't worry, I'm going to explain this later. As humans, we often default to letting our past predict the future. So what do I mean by this? I mean that you use your past experiences to make a prediction about something in the future. Say, for example, you've applied to 5 agents and either not heard back or got a rejection from all 5. From that, you assume that no agent is ever going to want you. That's letting your past predict the future. And what it does when you actually let that happen is it can actually prevent us from moving forward because we're so afraid of something in our past happening again that we decide it's just not worth it to even try. Think back to a time in your life when you thought anything was possible. And the reason you thought that was because you hadn't yet experienced any major knockdowns. Do you remember when you were a little kid or a teenager? I know when I was young, first of all, let's even just start with that. I thought getting old was for stupid people. Seriously, you live through the context of what you know. And I knew being young and the world was mine, and that was the lens that I saw the world through. That mindset is so powerful. You have to ask yourself, are you creating a future from a blank canvas? Or are you filling your future with your past? If you are, replace a past context with a future context. A future context is always a canvas with infinite possibilities because the future is anything but certain, right? Anything can happen. And that means good things can happen too. And number 3, replace the problem frame with the opportunity frame. So we look at life through a lens, right? Our perspective on our own life is determined by the lens we choose to view it through. The thing is, we have shaped these lenses or glasses, whatever you want to call them, over a long time and so subtly that we aren't even aware we're wearing them anymore. The way we're wired as humans is to avoid anything that could be a threat, a problem, a cost, or an issue. So our default is to problem frame. That's a comfortable place and it's kept you safe. So it's hard to come out of it. But if you want an extraordinary life, you have to do extraordinary things. We've all heard the stories about the actors who've made it by sheer grit and determination. They've got a great story to tell because they overcame something. And that can be your story too. But you have got to get comfortable with being what? If you know the answer, put it down in the comments below. You have to be courageous and stop framing these things to avoid being uncomfortable. And instead, start framing things through the outcome frame. So how can you do this? You can ask yourself, where's the challenge? Where's the lesson? Where's the game? Where's the opportunity? Where's the answer here, right? So what does that mean? So for instance, if you have not had any success in getting an agent up to this point, you might try and figure out another way to put yourself out there to them, right? If everybody is writing the standard email and sending the standard stuff, what can you do that's different, that's going to set you apart? You need to find a way to stand out in this industry. And the way you do that is by being your true, authentic self. The more you can be, the better off you're going to be. So just to recap here, remember, external to internal, past to future, and problem to opportunity. And then apply this thinking to all of the blind spots that I'm about to go through.
All right. If you are ready to get these blind spots out of your life and get on with your career, then click right up here and get on to the next video where we will get into what the number 1 blind spot is for most actors. See you over there.